Did you know that if you implement neuroscience into your advertising strategies, you'll find a drastic increase of 35% in sales. So, let me explain to you first how you can get that result and how we got to that point. I was in my room, as always, sitting on my computer, working on new advertising strategies or new business ideas that I'm thinking about. And while I'm doing that, I'm listening to the Andrew Huberman podcast. And then it struck me while I was writing down ideas. What if I implement the neuroscience that he explains, implement it into advertising? Will we see an increase in results? And if you're not familiar with Andrew Huberman, he's a neuroscientist and professor at Stanford University of Medical Science. And I've been listening to him almost all the time. He's incredible. I'll make sure to link out his podcast below in the video. And as I was saying, after watching, I was saying like, oh yeah, maybe I can implement that into my business and come up with a new business idea, a new strategy that we can implement as a first of its own. Because we've done the research, no one implements neuroscience into advertising yet, or that agencies that do that yet. And we want to be the first. And how we built further advanced on it, we also read Robert Greene's books. Now, if you're not familiar with Robert Greene, he's an author that talks about power, seduction, and war strategy. He's an incredible psychologist regarding those. And we read the 48 Laws of Power, and we were able to implement some of the ideas from that and combine it together with the neuroscience in order to create its marketing strategy. And that made me question, what if we implement neuroscience in advertising? Now, when it comes to the term advertising in neuroscience, there is a term that they use. It's called neuromarketing. Now, in neuromarketing, what essentially it means is that you use neuroscience and neuroscience machines related in order to identify what gets the consumer to react, to engage with the content or get a sale on that content. Using that science, we're able to identify which creatives that actually perform the best or what type of content you should be uploading and who your target audience it appeals more to. Now, to really be able to use this and utilize this to the best of your ability, you have to use certain tools such as electrophilogram, which is known as EEG, my bad. And then you have to use skin conductors and an eye tracking machines to fully track your consumers' actions and behaviors and to understand what gets them to engage with your content. And then you can utilize that to the best of ability to make content that they get them to engage. In June 2021, there was an experiment that was conducted by a group of researchers in the IULM, I believe that's what it's called, which is the University of Milan in Italy. And the research was to see whether or not emotional type of content had the effect on the buying choices of the consumer. The goal of the experiment was to see how many people would donate to the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, to see if there's an increase or decrease in the amount of people who would donate to that charity if depending on what the emotional content. So the experiment involved 70 different people, 35 men and 35 women in the mean age of 68. And in that experiment, they tested out 2 different spots and flyers, and they used something called as the prognostic factor. It was used to assess the different impact on whether or not the individual had an error. At the end of the experiment, they found an increase of 35% in donation rate due to the fact that some people have errors and content that appeal to those emotional errors affected them the most because they don't want their children to grow up with whatever they were advertising, because unfortunately they don't really specify what they were advertising. So the link for the research that I just used as an example is actually going to be in the description below. So if you want to go read it on your own in your own time, then go to the description below, click on the first link below, and just read it. Going on, as marketers, we can actually use this to the best of our abilities. We'd rather use it in a more professional way, a good way, rather than really trying to influence them to do bad decisions. So actually going back onto the topic, let me give you an example of what Robert Greene said in his book, the 48 Laws of Power. So, in the 48 Laws of the Power, there's Law 33, which says, now I'm actually gonna read the rest of the law, what it says on my script. So, let's see. So it says, everyone has a weakness, a gap in the castle wall. The weakness is usually an insecurity, an uncontrollable emotion or need. It can also be a small secret pleasure. Either way, once the thumbscrew is found, you can use it to your advantage. Now, in the context of neuroscience and advertising, what that can be used for is to identify trigger points that affects your consumer, to get them to really take action on your ad, to get them to click that learn more button, to actually take them to that sales funnel page or landing page that you have and get them to actually take that action. So actually, the more you understand your audience, the more you can make a type of emotional content that actually appeals to them. So, let's say, for example, I'm a beauty brand, right? Now, my target audience would be people who have let's go with acne, because I have acne right now. So, and something would be like, a type of content would be like, oh, I struggled with acne through all my life. I thought I was hideous. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror, and I felt really bad about myself because of the acne. And it made me really depressed. So then I discovered the anti-product's name, and this product actually helped me get rid of my acne in just 60 days. And look at my skin now, it looks a lot better. So those type of contents actually perform the best, because as someone who has experienced acne, if someone told me that, I would definitely buy from them, because it appeals to my emotional side, because I was insecure about some flaw that they think they might have. So if the brand tells me like, hey, we can understand what you feel like. We understand that you've suffered with acne and you feel this about yourself. The more connection I can build with them, the more I'm able to take action, because it automatically builds trust and rapport with them. Now, in conclusion, if you really want to increase your conversion rates, or your CAC AOV, your CAC LTV, your MERs, what you really have to aim for is content that really is relevant to your audience, that connects with them emotionally, on an emotional level. Now, a big mistake I see brands make is they're always posting pictures of the product. They're always posting a product showcase, which is good depending if you have an audience that already is. But if you're actually looking to reach out to new audiences, to new people in order to, or if you want more people to buy from your brand, what you really have to is you have to connect with them. As a brand, your job is to help out individuals. For example, for me as a brand, your goal is to help me out with my acne. And through that, you have to connect with me in an emotional level to really get me to fully trust your brand and to fully know that you're actually doing this in order to help me, not in order to make profit. Like a lot of the corporations, they only do it in order to make a profit. But if you really show yourself as a brand who completely understands, who's been what you've been through, who can empathize with you and relate to you, trust me, you'll get a lot more conversion rates, like the 35% that I showed you. And that was just in a few days. You can get yourself that in 30 days easily. Now, at my agency, we're always looking to advance in neuromarketing and neuroscience. And we're also always looking on research in order to get the most data we can, in order to truly understand the human patterns and how we can use them to the best of our ability, so we can help you as a company help other people. Now, if you're an e-commerce brand that wants us to do your advertising for you through the neuromarketing industry and through the AI implementation, then please schedule a demo call. It's a short 15-minute demo call. You don't have to pay anything. It's completely free. In the description below to see whether or not we're a good fit for you. And as always, thank you. Now, actually real quick, before I end the video, I actually wanted to say something. Now, if you're probably confused about where the AI implementation comes in. Now, I completely understand that, but implementation will come in the next video that I'll show. Actually, maybe the next 2 videos, but it will be there soon. I promise you that. As always, thank you. Peace out.